Hi, it's me, Sakura. This video is more of a companion video of my other one on how to make glowy claws. It's more how to order the circuit boards, what configuration to make the boards, and just other little small things. So, enjoy! Okay, so you got your fancy boards. One of these boards is good for one paw, assuming you got 4 claws per paw. You cut them. I'm just going to use these giant snippy snips. You also need, I'm making a foot claw. So for foot claws, I use 20 inches of 18 gauge silicone insulated wire. 2 color change 3mm color changing LEDs. And here's what they're called. Color RGB slow flash, 3mm. And 2 solid color 3mm LEDs. And 2 diodes. The diodes are nothing special. I'm just using 1N4148. You could literally use any diode that would fit in that circuit board. Not too critical. So for the circuit board, I'm just going to snip off one. Actually, I'll snip off 2. For a hand paw, you would trim them to that white line, like so. And for foot paw, you just leave. So foot paw, hand paw. Since I'm making a foot paw, the first thing I'm going to do is put my diodes in. Diodes, write a pencil. Diodes have a black stripe or a white stripe on one side and nothing on the other. You put that stripe to the stripe side of the board. You need diodes in the color changing ones because the color change LEDs do not like being hooked up backwards. Take your diode, bend it over like so. Put the stripe to the stripe. And stripe to the stripe. Hold them in place. You can use a piece of electrical tape. I'm just going to hold this in place so it's less jittery. Soldering iron. Any old soldering iron will do. You don't need anything fancy. Put it on the pad and the little stem or leg at the same time and apply the solder directly. That smoke is the flux doing the cleaning action. And the solder, it has to be electrical solder. You can't use plumbing because plumbing is acidic and acid and electronic-y stuff does not mix. Take the tape off, trim these down. Solder that one that I completely missed. Now for the LEDs. Now, if you look on the circuit board, you see a 2, a 2, a 1, and a 1. the 2s are connected together and the 1s are connected together. What I normally do is I put the color changing in the 2 spots and the solid color in the 1 spots. It doesn't really matter which is which, but as long as you keep them all the same, it'll work out fine. And LEDs have a long leg and a short leg. There's a plus on this one, plus here, plus right there, and a plus there. You put the long leg next to the plus. So like so. Oops. Long leg next to the plus. Use some tape to hold them down. On the pad and the lead, heat it up. And do one on the other side. Solder one leg at a time for now. Take the tape off. Then I'm going to lightly push with my finger and heat them back up, just to make sure they're sitting nice and flat. Now I'm going to solder the other 2. Then trim those down. Now the exact same thing with the standard solid color ones. Long leg to the positive, little plus sign. And long leg to the little plus sign. We trim those off. Now time to attach the wires. Just gonna put a bunch of solder on that one and that one. Just strip these wires. I'm just going to tin these wires. As a general rule of thumb, I like to put the black on number 2 and the red on number 1. Doesn't need to be that way, I just do that. So that's between the 2 dots, or 2 holes. Between the 2 holes, you put the other wire. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can move that a little bit. You take a little CR2032 cell. Just try it one way. Got the pink ones on. We try it the other way. And give it a moment. And now we've got the color change ones on. So now we do the strain relief, where we just kind of take the cables and wrap them around. Okay. So now we just take a needle and some thread, pink of course, and just start basically sewing the wires to the circuit board. I tried other ways to do this. Sewing is actually the best one I could find. because it soaks up a bunch of epoxy when you pop them in, and they're good and strong at that point. And just like so, this is ready for resin. Now for the splice board, this one's pretty straightforward. Just snip. You only need one of these per paws. And for color changing, I'm going to use 100 ohm quarter watt resistors. And basically, bend, bend. That was a horrible bend. Oof, oh well, whatever. And just kind of stick them in. Like so. Take your tape. It's now covered in fur. And solder them up. And trim these off. Now I'm just going to coat these in some solder. And now that board is ready to go. That's going to go about there. So, yeah, I'm going to leave them the same height. Cut the ends off. Strip it back. You don't need the white and green. Okay, so to order circuit boards from China is actually quite easy to do. It's not much more complicated than an online order. What you do is go to jocpcb.com, not a sponsor, I just like them. You have to create an account. They do not ask for a credit card and they accept PayPal. Once you create an account, log in and hit order now. Now, you take those files got off the Thingiverse page or wherever I end up putting them, and in their zipped form, you just drop them in there. Wait for it to load. And this is the board with the claws. Each board can do 4 claws, so you need 4 of these boards per fursuit. Now, we're going to leave everything default. This is how many you want. For 5 boards, you're looking at $5.50 US as of this time. Let's say you want 15. That would be $8.40. The circuit boards are the cheap part. The shipping is expensive because it's coming from China. So industrial consumer, yep, just the one design, single PCB, 1.6 thickness, that's standard. And this is where you pick the color you want. The ones I have are purple, but you can pick whatever you want. Green's the most common. Uh, all of the others, you have to wait a little, couple of days, just so they build up enough of an order to put it through. You can pick lead-free, and the rest just leave the default value. Then you select Save to Cart. Now you do the exact same with the other one in the zipped form. Add Gerber. Now they also do 3D printing, but you have to pay double shipping. So if you can whittle it out of wood, mold it, get a friend to 3D print it, that's ideal, because this is going to cost you quite a bit by the time you add the shipping on there. So same thing, default, ignore, select the quantity you want. I'm just going to leave it 15. Default, pick the color you had, lead-free, save to cart, view cart, and from this point on, it's a regular online order. So the connector board, I'm using 100 ohm resistors, each in a spot. I did not connect over those bypass pads. Diodes, I did not bridge over those. And I put the color change ones in the 2 spot and the regular LEDs into the 1 spot. And for strain relief, I wrap the USB cables around, tie them there, piece of shrink tube holding that together, and all of your claws will be going through this one, and this will be holding that together. For the USB cables, one cable I connected black to 2, red to 1, and on the other side I did the exact opposite. I connected red to 2 and black to 1. Okay. If you're not going to use color change LEDs, then you don't need the diodes. You can just bridge the little bypass pads on the side. And since we're not using diodes, I'm using 150 ohm resistors on this one. Anti-strain thread. Again, I wrapped it around. Now, this USB cable was a bit odd. I got it from the dollar store. It had red and pink for the power. And the only reason I knew that is because the other 2 wires were very tiny. And the exact opposite on the other side. I'm using the resistors so I do not bypass them. Okay. Now if you're using regular LEDs, you actually can just put the resistors where the diodes usually go. These are 150 ohm resistors. Got my 2 colors of LEDs. Did not bypass them because I'm using them. And strain relief's the same way. And I just connected the positive of one USB and the negative of the other USB to one wire, and did the exact opposite to the other wire. Okay. And of course, you would just cover them up to make them nice and neat looking once you have all the claws in there. And another one that's quite appealing is a coin cell holder. Now these 3 pads are spaced out to accept one of these little coin cell holders. I just glued it to the board and soldered the pins. If you notice, that center pin was not long enough, so I just took a little end of a LED leg and just bridged it. Now these coin cells, You actually don't need anything between them and the LED. So I bypassed everything here. And I bypassed these ones. And because the LED is quite small, I just used one of each color. Just try to get the lifespan out of the LED. Because you got 4 claws, that would be 8 LEDs on per little tiny battery cell. It just makes it last a bit longer. And with that, it's the end of the video. So, I guess, bye-bye.